Hello class, welcome to week 3 of BUAD 301. I want to welcome everybody this week of class. This is your first online class, so we'll go ahead and go down to week 3 so you can take a look to see what it looks like. So here is week 3. This is what we're going to be doing today. So now that you familiarize yourself with communicating strategy and writing, you should begin familiarizing yourself with the next step, which is communication ethics, which is what chapter 3 in the Rook textbook discusses. You also need to read the Starbucks case for practice because we'll be going over that during week 4's video lecture. Remember, when reading the case, look for the underlying issue and start thinking of concepts and solutions you can provide for the case, kind of like what we talked about in our live class during week 2. And when you begin writing your case analysis in this course, you will read cases just like this. And finally, we're also going to be discussing our research city project, and you're going to actually pick the city that you would like to complete your research city project on. So let's look at the tasks for you to complete this week. Make sure you have read chapter 3 in our textbook. In the Business Writer's Handbook, make sure to read the following 2 sections, which are business plans and presentations. In addition, read and familiarize yourself with the Starbucks case in your casebook. If you have yet to purchase the casebook, please read the directions on how to purchase it. It's located under week 1, which is up here. You're just going to click on this image or this link and follow the directions to purchase your casebook. So make sure to read the Starbucks case, have a good understanding of it, because next week in our video lecture I will be going over it, kind of giving you some tips and what I'm going to be looking for, because then remember during week 5 we're going to complete our first in-class writing assignment, which is a case analysis on the Chick-fil-A case in your book. Of course, watch this video, this weekly class video lecture. Make sure to watch the ethics and communication video in the PowerPoint under the file and attachments. So you're going to have to watch this on your own. It's like those PowerPoints that we completed during week 2. They actually have they're actually interactive, where they have a play button on there and you can play it and listen to the actual video on the PowerPoint, exactly like what we did during week 2. We will be going over the audience analysis PowerPoint today in this video lecture. You're also going to need to review the BUAD 301 Research City Project Word document, which is this right here. There are going to be 6 requirements in this Research City project, and we're going to go over those right now in a little bit. And then also, you're going to need to complete the Research City project requirement number 1 of 6, which is going to be writing a memo. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail as well too. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at our actual Research City project. Actually, before we dive into that, let's take a quick look at our syllabus. I want to go over a few things with you guys, just so that way you're all on the same page and you have a good understanding of what's going to be required for the upcoming weeks. So remember, here in the assignments, you're going to see when something is due. So right here, your memo, which we're going to be discussing today, that's going to be due February 16th at 11:55 p.m., uploaded in titanium. And I'll be going over that in a little bit more detail. We're also going to be reviewing the Chick-fil-A case next week. We're going to go over the Starbucks case and review the Chick-fil-A case to help prepare you for your first case analysis, which is right here the following week. And then today we're going to look at the Research City project review, which includes all of these different steps. So always keep in mind, it's good to look at the syllabus to kind of get an idea of what's going to be happening coming up in the upcoming weeks, just to help really prepare yourself. So let's go ahead and go back down to week 3, and let's review the Research City project that you're going to have to complete this semester. So before we dive into it, keep in mind this is going to entail 6 different requirements you're going to have to complete. And each of these requirements are going to be listed in the Word document as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Research City project you're going to have to complete. There are going to be 6 requirements for this entire project, and we're going to go over each one of those. But today we're going to be going over requirement number 1, since that's going to be the first item due. So your Research City project is going to entail a total of 6 items. The purpose of this is for you to develop research and problem-solving skills within a professional context and learn how to write an extended argument. So the background, you will complete a research city project on a city of your choice, and you will look into the demographics of the city along with the needs. So your task, you're going to have 6 different tasks, which are listed here below. And your expected student outcome, you will develop research skills and critical thinking skills. You will also learn how to identify and target key issues in a real world setting. So I'm going to be looking for analysis above all. Look into the issues as well as at them. Provide context and boundaries to help me understand exactly what are you trying to say. Grading will follow the class rubric, which we went over. I expect mechanical excellence, flawless format, and a perfect citation style for any type for the APA research report when you need a cite. But for your memo, there will be you won't need any citations as they are not required. So you're going to have 6 total parts of this APA Research City project, which is worth 200 total points. So you're going to have a memo, which we're going to go over today, and that's worth 20 points, and it's going to be due in 2 weeks on Friday, February 16th at 11:55 p.m. in Titanium. You're also going to need to write a professional email to Mayor Papulius. I'm going to be acting as the mayor of the city you choose. That's going to be worth 10 points. You're also going to have a peer edit assignment due, a group oral presentation, which is worth 25% at a total of 50 points. You're going to have a brochure to complete. The brochure is going to be turned in as a hard copy on Saturday, May 12th, which is the day of our final exam in class. Your APA research report is due that same Saturday as well, but it's going to be due at 11:55 p.m. at night because I'm going to have you upload it to Titanium. So let's take a look at each of these requirements. You can see here I have requirement 1, memo city selection. And below I have all the other requirements as well too. Here's requirement 2, requirement 3, requirement 4, requirement 5, and requirement number 6. Today we're just going to dive into requirement number 1. So requirement number 1 is a memo city selection. It's due again on Friday, February 16th at 11:55 p.m. and you're going to upload to Titanium, and I will show you where you will be uploading it. So right here I created a link. You're going to click on it. It's for Research City project requirement 1. It's your memo worth 20 points, and you're going to click add submission when you're ready to upload your memo. So you're going to pick a town in one of the following counties: LA, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, or San Diego. Please don't ask me to choose a different county. I'd like to keep it in Southern California area. And you're going to pick a city from this town. This is the town you will use for your research paper. So once it is selected, you may not change the town. So you're going to be implementing this town that you choose in this memo among everything here for all of your requirements. So make sure it is the town that you have an interest in. You will look at the census data for the town you have chosen and identify their demographics. You will think of a business you feel would be beneficial for this town. You can choose a large metropolitan city or a small suburb. Just keep in mind that the larger the town, the more research and time you will spend to discover information in a correctly formatted one-page Then in a correctly formatted one-page memo report addressed to myself, Dr. Lambi Papulius. In third person, you're going to write the following. So you're going to write a memo in a memo format at 1 page maximum. The reasoning to why you chose the town. Describe your selected town in detail, focusing on demographics such as the median age, median income, social demographics, etc. And you can get all this information from the census data. And then 3, you can identify a particular type of business that you think would appeal to the majority demographic you have identified. Avoid suggesting things like franchises, such as like Subways, restaurants of that type. Think about unusual businesses or services that would particularly appeal to the local residents. For example, I had one student who was looking, they were looking at a town which had a big population of older people over the ages of 60 plus, and they were looking to implement a putting green business where people could come and just putt and hang out, and it was kind of a unique business. But without going into too much detail, they were looking at, okay, older people, they're not going to really be driving golf balls down the driving range. They're going to probably want to just hang out more, maybe putt a little bit. So it's kind of a unique business. Another example, don't think of a skate park for a business for that type of community where you have the majority of the people as retirees. So think of a unique business, and this is the business and city you're going to have to use for the entire city project, which is going to include all of these items here. So make sure it is a city and a business that you feel comfortable with. This is why I'm giving you 2 weeks to complete it. You should be familiar with the memo format. If not, please see the memo section in your Business Writer Handbook to refresh your memory, and or visit the following website on Purdue Al. So that's your memo assignment, which is going to be due in 2 weeks. Make sure to upload it here on Titanium by the deadline date. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, please just let me know. So what I would like to do now is go over the audience analysis PowerPoint, which I have for you. And don't forget to go over the ethics and communication PowerPoint yourself on your own time. So we'll look at this audience analysis. So audience analysis. So core of my audience is understanding who your audience is extremely important, because you're going to be able to base what it is you're trying to communicate to your audience, which goes to our next question: what is the relationship I have with my audience? You're going to write or say something different to your boss than you would to a coworker, than you would to a client, than you would to your friend or family member. So understanding your relationship is extremely important on how you say something and how you write it. What are their likely attitudes to my proposal? Understanding how they're going to react is going to help you, because now you're going to know, are they going to be happy? Are they going to be sad? Are they going to be interested? That's going to help you understand how you're going to write your actual letter or say the message that it is you're trying to say. How much do they already know or think they know? Knowing what they know is important, because then you'll know if you have to reiterate that information to them in your message that you are writing or discussing. Is my proposal in their interest? Is this something that will interest them? Are they going to want to continue to read or listen to what it is that you have to say? So before we move on, I want to take a look at a generic organization chart in an organization. So usually organizations at the top, they'll have their president or their executive officer of a division. This can include the CEO, which is the chief executive officer, the CMO, which is the chief marketing officer, even the CAO, the chief accounting officer, and underneath them you're going to have your senior manager. This is usually your vice president. So in regards to this organization chart, let's just take a look at the marketing department. So at the top you're going to have the CMO, chief marketing officer. Underneath, as a senior manager, you'll probably have the senior VP, which is the vice president of marketing, or even just the vice president of marketing. And then underneath, maybe they have different departments. So let's say for the middle management, this is going to be your director role. You may have director of marketing for customer relations, then director of marketing for print advertisements, director of marketing for digital advertising. And then underneath here, you may have your marketing manager for customer engagement, then your marketing manager for print advertising, then your marketing manager for digital advertisement. And then underneath, you're going to have your coordinator roles, etc., like employees or staff and whatnot. So internal business communities. This slide shows the community, their primary interests, and their shared attributes. This will kind of, help you have a better understanding of what each one of these levels right here, what they do and what they look for and what their job may entail. So when I worked at the .com, I was usually at the first line supervision. This was when I was running operations, when I was having to meet certain quotas. I was being judged on my performance metrics. I was a marketing manager for a .com, and I would commonly come up through the ranks. I started off low and I would kind of work my way up. My next step was to go into the middle management, which was going to be a director role or even a VP of marketing. But I decided to leave the corporate world, go back, get a couple more degrees, and start teaching, and here I am. So let's look at a communication scenario, something plain and simple. Let's say that you are a venture capital and you're giving money to a company for funding, and you're providing them with $200,000, but they requested $250,000. So you can say it in good news: hey, you're receiving $200,000 in venture capital. Or bad news, you're not receiving the full amount requested. So the way you look at it, perception is a big deal with your audience, and understanding who your audience is extremely important, because you'll know which perception, which one you're going to move forward with. let's look at a sample positive negative message. So let's look at a positive opening. You are being considered for $200,000 in venture capital. Great, that's positive. We're getting money. Even though we applied for 250,000, we're getting $200,000. The explanation why you're getting 200,000, XYZ company has limited assets available right now. The economy is tight and others are also seeking our support. So if you think about it, wow, I'm kind of lucky that I'm getting $200,000 out of the 250 I requested, because you know what? The economy is tight. There's other people seeking their support. There's limited assets available, but I'm still getting 80% of what I requested. Now, if you look at it a negative message, you are not receiving the full 250,000 you requested. You're being blunt, straightforward, and direct. But you can end with a positive closing. Entering into this venture will be to our mutual benefit. You know why? Because this project is promising. We're going to learn about one another, and we're going to be able to have a good understanding of who each other is. So that's a positive closing from a negative message. So positive negative combinations, these can be used, and it's extremely important to understand when and how they can be used. So is information so positive that if it's placed first, it will make transition to the negative information extremely awkward? If so, move the positive to the end. So if it will make it that awkward going from the positive to the negative, use the positive last, use the negative first. Is positive information only moderately positive? If so, start message with it. If positive information is not placed first, will the receiver read the message? If not, present positive information first. Is the negative information only slightly negative? If so, start with positive and transition into negative, because in this case, it's not too negative. You can start with positive and go into the negative, and going back here, it won't be awkward going to the negative. So if the negative message is strong, then start with delaying opening and move to explanation and bad news before presenting positive news. The positive news will help cushion you. So let's look at a communication scenario. So you have good news. The salary increases for salaried employees. So some salaried employees are going to get salary increases. Well, that's great, but I wonder how they're going to do it. But either way, that's good news. And improved benefits. You're going to have better retirement, vacations, medical and dental care, life insurance, and stock ownership. So in this case, they're going to be giving layoffs into the company, but the people who are there, now they're getting salary increases and improved benefits. But the bad news is there's going to be major cost reductions, and there's going to be termination of salaried and hourly employees. So for those of the people who are staying, they're going to get increases, but unfortunately, the bad news, some people are going to be let go. So keep that in mind. When are you going to use this positive and negative information? A great example I like to consider is Target. A couple years back, Target had a security breach where personal data was removed from their files by hackers. And Target sent out letters to people who were affected and people who weren't affected. Well, I was actually one of the customers who was affected, and I received a letter. And in this letter, they opened up with slightly bad news, saying that their company was breached and information was stolen. Then they went on to go ahead and say what they were going to do to fix this problem. Then they went on to say for those who were affected, what they can do, which was like free credit monitoring, a couple other items that they included as well. Then they went on and told me the bad negative news of, you know what, unfortunately, Mr. Populius, your information was compromised and it was stolen. Well, the good news with that is, well, I shouldn't say the good news, but the positive silver lining in this is that they already told me what I need to do to fix this and what they're doing to help prevent this in the future. Whereas if they opened up and told me the bad news first, which is very damaging, if they said, hey, Target was recently breached, their security information was breached, and your information was affected, well, I'm going to be outraged. I'm going to be upset. I may not continue reading the letter. But by them giving me the bad news at the end, I was able to read what I needed to do first before I got the bad news. Then when I got the bad news, I was able to action up and complete what I had to complete. Okay, guys, that is it for week 3. Again, if you have any questions whatsoever, I have all my contact information here at the top. Feel free to reach me on my mobile phone number, which you can see right here. You can text message me, call me, whatever's easier. Please just reach out to me. I'm here as your professor. I'm here to help you. I want to make sure you have all the tools you need in order to pass this class. And remember, no question is a dumb question. You never know what you may have missed or what's something you may not have gotten, so please feel free to reach out to me. And I wish you guys all the best of luck this week.